Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaste, hello everyone. Welcome again to my NPTEL course on interior design, and we are at the lecture number 12 today. We will discuss finishes, materials and specifications, which are very important for interior design projects. And within this, we will see diverse surface treatments, different kinds of finishes, materials, specifications, some application techniques. So this is the contents like I was telling, and of course some references for more details. So if we talk about finishing, we could actually treat it as a final layer, and it protects and fixes the surface of building elements, and it plays a very important role in both visual and psychological aspects of interior spaces. And there could be uncoated or sometimes plastered finishes that we come across. So it could be different kind of finishes, also like custom made finishes using different kinds of materials and different alternate materials possible these days. If we talk about wall finishing, it's very important to have some kind of finish on the wall, because it protects the space against different effects, whether it be moisture, heat, noise, light, even fire. Like these are some of the sections. Here both the sides of the walls are coated. This is only the interior wall over here which is coated, and here exterior, and here it is none. Now depending on the weather conditions and where the location is and what kind of project it is, these all ways of finishing it will have impact on the life of the project. Now, we are now designing very contemporary looking buildings, and our building sections are getting thinner and thinner. And therefore, there is a recommendation that, finishing layers be added to these sections. And they would like sort of protect the underneath substrata or the underneath surface. So that's why it has become sort of essential to coat the walls, floors, ceilings, so that there is not just a suitable appearance but also protection. Now, wall finishing could be done, through different building materials to achieve these finishes. It could be plaster, it could be paint. We could use wood for achieving these kinds of finishes on walls, gypsum panels, it could be some kind of a sandwich panel, and it could be designed also for specific purposes. Then ceramic could be used, of course, natural stone, artificial stone, glass and metal. So these are different kinds of popular finishes that we see. So when we talk about plastering is a very important process, by which coarse surfaces of walls, ceilings or roofs, they can be turned into something very smooth and sophisticated and finessed. Now these wall surfaces could be finished with bricks, blocks, aesthetically pleasing stones, or any kind of, customized sort of an appearance. Now, there may be surfaces with lots of irregularities, and there may be another set of surfaces which are fairly regular. So depending on that, one has to think about how to do the plastering. So there are surfaces with irregularities more than 3 centimeters, and in this case, an undercoat, which is low cost, coarse grain material that is used to render the surface some kind of uniformity, and then it is followed by a finished coat that is like a thin layer of fine grain material. So one has to understand what is the surface which is being treated as, what kind of wall it is which needs to be finished, and accordingly these design decisions and plastering related decisions are taken into account. So here again some sections to explain, like one undercoat and two undercoat. So one layer is this and another one over here, and this is your wall, and here it is this one. So walls constructed from irregular and different size stones may require 3 coatings also, sometimes. This is because the thick undercoat tends to sag due to the weight of the thick wet plaster. That is why spreading thin layer and permitting to harden, followed by employing second undercoat, it is the best practice. So we have to think about these considerations before taking final decisions. Then if we talk about plasters, there are also different kinds of plasters which are, available or which could be created. So lime plaster is again a very popular and beautiful looking plaster, and it consists of sand and lime, and the mixture is like 1 cent to 3 of lime by volume, and it could be used as an undercoat, also sometimes as a finished coat, depending on what your level of detailing is. The issue is that lime plaster may shrink after drying, and we have to avoid this cracking and shrinking and drying of that plaster. And it is very, very popularly known to have been used in ancient structures, especially. And it has a very good life and it looks very nice. But yeah, these days we don't do much of lime plaster because it's also time consuming and it requires certain skills. Coming to the cement plaster, which is quite common these days, it's a grey powder Portland cement which is mixed with water, the ratio of 1 cement to 3 or 4 clean wash sand by volume, and it can be used as an undercoat for hard background. And the mixture of sand and cement, it may require a plasticizer. So plasticizer or lime is added to the mixture usually by volume ratio of 1 cement to 0.25 lime to 3 sand, or 1 cement to 4 sand with plasticizer. And plasticizer that we are talking about is basically a liquid which is added to the mixture to ease the plaster spreading over the surface uniformly and easily. There is also gypsum plaster, which is quite popular these days. It's used very widely. And there are various types of gypsum plasters which are available in the market. And they are produced by heating gypsum, at specific degrees. And gypsum plasters can be categorized such as casting, undercoat, finish, one coat, machine applied plaster. These are different classifications within the gypsum plaster family. Paint, of course, is a very, very popular wall finish, and there are different kinds of paints which are available in the market, different brands, and they do a lot of research and come up with very trendy, styles and ways of painting. So paints with a finish or a sheen, they reflect light, whereas paint without a finish or sheen, they absorb the light. So again, depends where we are using it, what color paint it is, where is the like what is the site orientation like, do we get natural light there or not, etc. And various factors such as durability, weather, moisture, traffic, cleanability of the surface, they all should be considered while we are choosing a certain wall finish and trying to put paint over that. Glossiness impacts the environment of the room. It brings out the cracks and imperfections. Whereas the matte finish, on the walls or the matte walls, they absorb light and they not only add aesthetic value but also play a functional role. So one has to see all these factors on the site and then see which kind of finish, goes best. So there is this matte finish. So matte or flat paints, they lend a mute tone to the walls, and they provide sort of a minimum to soft sheen. And they are non-reflective paints. They possess the most amount of pigment, leading to more coverage. And they are also known as concealer of paints because they hide imperfections. So there are some advantages and disadvantages over there, like they are hard to clean while they provide good coverage. So we have to pick and choose accordingly. Then there is textured finish. It definitely adds characters to the walls, and they could appear very distinct and rustic in appearance, in nature. And these textures can also remove the flatness, and they could add depth, or certain characters to the wall. And it gives a sort of a gritty or layered look when we put a textured finish, and it's also great for hiding uneven walls and imperfections. There is satin finish. Now that reflects more light And they are not all that shiny like glossy finishes, but they provide luster to some extent. And it is ideal for places that do not receive a lot of natural light, like kitchens, bathrooms, and hallways. And here also, right, there are advantages and disadvantages of that. And we see high durability, easy to clean, but it reveals errors. So again, we have to pick and choose. Then there is this eggshell finish. It is a type of wall paint which is not completely lusterless like the flag paints, but it does add a slight low sheen. And it can also hide imperfections like holes and cracks. It is easier to clean, it is more durable, so it is used quite widely again. It has a great finish reflecting a subtle sheen. It is, one of the most popular choices actually is the eggshell finishes, are the eggshell finishes. And a mix between satin and flat paints, eggshell possesses the sheen as well as the concealing properties, and therefore it is popular. There is also semi-gloss finish. So depending on what kind of project and what is the taste of the clientele and where does it have to be used and whether it best fits in that particular space according to the site conditions and the amount of the detailing level, all of that one could pick and choose all of these. So these are characterized as shiny, reflective, easy to clean, but they are not as shiny as high gloss paints, which actually makes them quite popular choices. So keeping a sort of a subtle shine to them. Highly durable and also resist the growth of mold and algae. So therefore, interesting and good choice. Perfect for moisture exposed areas and high traffic areas. So that is why again a popular choice, easier to clean. There is also high gloss finish that could be, picked up and used in the space. So high gloss finish is hard, super shiny, light reflecting, and it has sort of highest sheen possible amongst all these varieties that we are looking at. Perfect for areas where natural light is less. And it is popular choice amongst designers because of its reflective finish. It is ideal for cabinetry, doors, kitchen work, accents, areas that are, prone to moisture and dirt, but they also reveal imperfections and they require more coats to apply. So that is sort of a con, and it goes in the disadvantage of picking this finish. There is also super matte specialty paint which is available in the market. And these paints are even more flat and subdued in comparison to the matte paints. With no sheen and light absorbing qualities, these are sort of muted paints, and they are sort of more tactile, and they are ideal for statement walls and accents. And they are sort of made for certain walls, they may be sort of also customized, they may not always be easy to clean. So then again, they offer aesthetic value, and then one can pick and choose, seeing the advantages and disadvantages. There are also sort of considerations that one must focus on, while choosing a paint finish, starting with the traffic. So, whether that's a busy room or less occupied room, more footfall or more users using it throughout the day, that is important to understand. So, like busy rooms, let's say kitchens and playrooms, they will benefit from more durable finishes such as satin and semi-gloss. Whereas the calmer rooms, like dining rooms, they can get away with eggshell or even flat paints. So this occupancy and traffic matters when we are selecting a paint finish. Then the other consideration is paint sheen. So paint finishes are categorized in terms of the luster, from no shine flat finishes to very shiny high gloss finishes like we just saw. And this shininess actually affects the amount of light and which are reflected into the room. So then we have to sort of pick and choose. So to try to help brighten a dim place, a slightly higher gloss finish will do better than a matte finish. So then we have to see our site conditions and what is the space which is being treated. Surface imperfections, again, one has to consider them before selecting the paint finish. So, to paint a wall that has lots of nail holes or patches or undulations, one may want to consider a less glossy paint. It will help mask those blemishes and imperfections. Let's go to wood finishes now. And timber is quite relevant even today, and we find its usage throughout history. Although we do think about a lot of environmental concerns, and we are trying to replace wood as a material with alternate sustainable materials. But yes, wood can also be repurposed and recycled, and it is being selected now for different kinds of purposes, keeping this responsibility in mind. So, wood is still used for finishing, ceilings, walls, floors, windows, uh, arches, stairs, etc. And the walls are distinguished, by their structure and good thermal insulation. And there are properties like, associated with walls. So the panels which are made from valuable wood species, they are quite expensive and they may add life to the wall. So we could decide and see what we have at our disposal and what could be used for the finishes. When we talk about the wood finishes, these three are like the popular ones. There is veneer, laminate, and polished wood. We are going to discuss them in detail where we talk about the timber as a material. So, here it is more like an overview, but there are more details in the module that focuses on timber. So, veneer, the finishes, the veneer finishes, they are popular among the people who are looking for polished wood finish, but at a lower cost. So it's possible to have almost wood looking appearance with the help of this very thin layer, which is almost like it is the natural skin or the bark of the tree, and it gives you the finish as close as the wood. And they are more economical and durable as compared to solid woods. Even when they are exposed to various levels of humidity and temperature settings, they are less prone to warping and cracking. So their life is good. And average price of the veneer could range anywhere from 50 to 400. I would say even more, depending on which wood and what is the appearance, how sophisticated or how exotic it is. It could be used in furniture, wall paneling, decorative inlays, etc. Then there is laminate. Laminate is factory manufactured. It also appears like wood. It is not wood like in the sense as a veneer would appear, but it is at least factory manufactured and it does render a wood like effect. And this is a man made interior finish. Laminate sheets, so it comes in the form of sheets. They look identical to one another and they don't provide as much diversity or natural looking timber as compared to veneer. They are easy to maintain, they have relatively long lifespan, and they're good choices, especially for children's bedrooms, kitchens, storage cabinets, etc. And they cost less than the veneer, and they are used very popularly in cabinet shutters. Then there is polished wood. So when it comes to the luxury interior finishes, polished wood is actually a very popular choice, and it can be light, like a pine wood, or it can also be dark stained or dark color like a rosewood or teak wood. Now wood finishes can last for generations, but they do require maintenance. So that has to be kept in mind. And wood polish could also range anywhere, INR 30 to 500 per square feet, depending on the type of the wood and the polish. And the common treatment that goes with the polished wood is that the wood oil once every 6 months has to be put as a treatment with this polished wood. So that's important. Then we have the gypsum board or panel. It is also known as plaster board or drywall, and it is a technical name given to a plaster based wall finish that helps in creating light walls. And it's an umbrella term, all its types use gypsum, And there are different kinds of gypsum boards that one could use, pick and choose. And this is the extensive list over here. So there is a drywall, whiteboard or gypsum board. There is a backing gypsum plaster board. There is a moisture resistant gypsum plaster board, which is a very specific kind of gypsum board or panel. There is also modified moisture resistant gypsum plaster board, which is available. Then the blue board gypsum board, which is also called as the plaster base board. There is a paperless gypsum plaster board available in the market, fire resistant one, soundproof one, also the exterior gypsum soffit board. So this is a list of some of the popular varieties that we get, in the gypsum panel universe. So we are talking about the drywall whiteboard. It is a standard variant. It is useful in creating false ceilings specially, and it finds usage as a covering material. Then there is backing gypsum plasterboard. It is a combination of multiple layers of drywall. It is, used for a variety of purposes: walls, ceilings, even partitions, etc. Then there is moisture resistant gypsum plasterboard. It is also known as green board, and it comes with a green covering, and it is popular because of its moisture resistant properties. Then the modified moisture resistant version is also available. This is for even better moisture resistance, and it has better characteristics. And this can be used, in areas where there is susceptibility to moisture. Then there is blue board gypsum board. The blue board gypsum board, or the plaster base board as it is called, it comes with a surface layer that has superior absorption abilities. So it is used primarily for veneer plastering. Then there is this paperless gypsum plaster board, which is again available in the market. And these are the improved variants of regular gypsum plaster board version, and they have more life and stability and better finish. Fire resistant one, of course, as the name suggests, it provides excellent protection against the fire hazards. The soundproof one offers sound protection, to a certain degree. And if we are looking for even more sound protection, then we can have, the soundproof gypsum board, which has highly specific acoustic features. And then the exterior gypsum board. So unlike most of the other types, this board is designed for outdoor usage specifically. So as per the usage and specification, that entire variety is available. There is also sandwich panel, which is getting, more and more popular. And it is a system that protects the buildings from external factors and, provides at most convenient and economical solution for a powerful stand. And it's very contemporary solution, light, durable, and the sandwich panels are used to clad roofs and external walls, and they also help in achieving insulated internal walls and cold storages. So it's an interesting product which is available in the market. These panels are produced by filling in a thick and low density insulation material between two thin and high density metal surfaces, and that's how we get this sandwich panel sort of made. And it comes in certain dimensions, and these are used for industrial as well as residential purposes. And sandwich panels cover width is 1000 mm, and the length is produced in suitable sizes according to the need of the project. So these are the standard dimensions which are available, and accordingly one can sort of plan their application. So this is again like one sandwich panel that is seen on the screen. This inner sheet over here, the insulation core, and the outer sheet, and they are sort of put together as a sandwich. And these can be of different materials. So if you look at the outer sheet, it could be aluminium, it could be like a membrane. And then if we look at this insulation core, it could be mineral wool, it can be PU, and so on. And when we talk about this inner sheet over here, it can again be aluminium or any other material. So we just try to sandwich these layers and put them together. Ceramic finishes are also popular. We have discussed them, under ceramic tiles in detail. So here I'm just giving an overview. They are quite durable. They are also used for decorative purposes. They have material properties which make them quite useful, such as water absorption, porosity, and glazing. And there can be different kinds of water absorption rates that we see here, from non-vitreous to semi-vitreous to vitreous and impervious. Um, these are covered in detail in the lecture that focuses on tiles. And the type of the clay used, mineral composition, or the method of manufacturing gives us these varieties: ceramic, quarry, porcelain, and terracotta within this universe of tiles. Stone is, of course, a very, very popular material to achieve finishes, and we find natural stones to composite stones to sort of, completely artificial stones being used. But of course, natural stone has its own timelessness and they are still popular. So we often see limestone, slate, granite, marble as first choices of stone when we are trying to achieve certain finishes. And they have natural patterns, they have natural color pigments, and they add to the overall finish and texture. And the benefits are like, very beautiful and aesthetic appearance, strength, durability, creativity, easy maintenance. This is also discussed at like in quite details in our lecture on stone. Glass finishes are also interesting, and they are used, quite widely. So glass can be costly though, but technology allows for the use of glass as semi-structural element. It could look very stunning and it could provide, the perfect foil to other materials specified within a scheme. So it depends how it is designed and put together along with the other materials to create a certain finish. Metal finishes are also quite in vogue, and they are supremely practical in some situations. They can be very, very decorative. They have visual qualities, and of course, they also have, strength, and they could bring a sort of a masculine edge within your entire space. Some surface finishes are not as durable as, they appear to be. So careful selection is needed when we talk about metal finishes. Fabrication of some items can also prove costly and time consuming. So one again has to pick and choose. Then talking about floor finishes, this is also somewhere discussed during the space making elements and where we have focused on floor. Also to some extent in the lecture that talks about tiling and the laying methods. But to put finishes together in place in a cohesive manner, I have given an overview here also. So floor is a horizontal structural element, very important, anchors the entire space. And there are lots of finishes that could go into creating nice floors. It could be like a screed. We could have terrazzo flooring, or mosaic flooring, ceramic, glass, cork flooring, timber flooring, even polymers and metals. So all of these finishes are quite possible, and some of these have been discussed in other lectures. Then there is hardwood flooring when we talk about floor finishes, and the hardwood floors, they come in different types, and some of the common woods which are used for achieving the hardwood flooring are oak, maple, birch wood, as well as there are some exotic woods such as acacia, mahogany, cherry, walnut, which could be used for creating hardwood flooring. There are many finishes also from PU, which is polyurethane, to oiled with matte, semi-gloss, and high gloss topical coats. So these are some of the finishes that are possible to be achieved. Then hardwood floors basically are durable and easy to clean, and therefore it becomes like a common choice when we talk about flooring. And here also we have put together the advantages and disadvantages, and one can take an informed decision. So for example, this one can cause an echo in the house. So one has to see where the application is. There is also laminate flooring. We just understood what a laminate is. It's a cost effective alternative to hardwood, and one may also choose laminate floors that replicate natural stone, so we could create a lot of appearances. And these are durable, they resist scratches and stains, and again some benefits and disadvantages. Of course, a shorter lifespan compared to the natural wood. Also, vinyl flooring is used quite a lot, and it's a sort of a practical and stylish flooring option which is available today. And these come in, sheets, tiles, also some plank formats. So vinyl planking is a floating floor, which means that it does not adhere to the substrate. So that's an interesting case over here. And again, advantages and disadvantages. Even high-end vinyl floors replicate hardwood while also being significantly less expensive, and therefore it is sort of a popular choice. Ceramic tile flooring, of course, made from fine clay fired at high temperature, comes in varied colors, durability, water resistance, so all the advantages and disadvantages. It requires regular cleaning, and it may appear cold to your feet. Then there is porcelain tile flooring, and these tiles are manufactured similar to that of ceramic, and they also have advantages and disadvantages, but they are very water resistant, durable, and they last quite long, so they can be used for flooring. There is concrete flooring again, which is still used in lots of cases, and they could be, polished, stained, stamped, and they could have different kinds of textures and patterns on them. And they require very, very low maintenance, so they can be still used, but the only problem is that they are prone to cracks. There is also cork flooring, which is available for getting your floor finish, and the cork is made from the bark of the cork oak tree, and the harvesting process does not harm the trees, therefore it is an eco-friendly option. That's a very interesting aspect about using the cork flooring. It also comes in colors, patterns, and finishes, and a huge variety could be achieved. Natural stone flooring for very luxurious appearance, for something very, very natural and elegant. Now, talking about the ceiling finishes, that's also a very important aspect within the interior architecture projects. And one has to be really careful whether there is any service or equipment installed within the ceiling, whether it's a suspended ceiling or what kind of ceiling it is, does it have a sprinkler system, etc. And then accordingly one has to think about the finishing. So wooden ceiling finish, of course, can be achieved, and commonly used for false ceilings, and in the form of plywoods, blocks, or panels. And this also has its own sets of advantages and disadvantages, and it is used in residential as well as commercial buildings. It does give a lot of interesting natural look and rustic vibe to the ceiling. There is POP, which is your plaster of Paris, and this is applied quite often on the ceilings. And it is made by applying plaster of Paris paste on the wooden or metal boards. And it is used for highly decorative interiors. There is also glass, so it could be like a transparent or translucent false ceiling material. And it's used quite often in, jewelry shops and restaurants. There is, of course, also fabric, which is a very, very interesting material to have finishes. So it's used in false ceilings and for very aesthetic purposes. And it could be also lightweight and cheap, and it's used a lot in exhibition halls and, for decorative purposes. Gypsum, we saw different kinds of gypsum panels and boards, and they can be applied on ceilings as well. And they are used in homes, offices, even industries. Then, of course, the metal ceiling is also possible, and they are widely used for false ceilings. And, especially in boutiques, shops, to give a very sleek and modern look. There is a certain performance criteria which is required for finishing, and as designers, one has to, like, we have to really give attention to those. So the most important criteria for finishing material is to have appropriate visual appearance. Of course, it has to serve the functional aspects, but it also has to create, proper texture, color, finish, and a visual appeal. And the finishing materials are usually affected by the mechanical factors because of the direct contact with the user. So even that, the traffic, occupancy, contact with the user, and then the impact it has on the finishing material and the overall finish, that's also something which has to be taken care of. So floors and walls, they can be damaged, also by furniture and objects, by regular wear and tear and movement, etc. Finishing materials must be resistant to mechanical effects and all these things that we are talking about. And the selection has to be done according to the material strength and properties. That's very important. To protect surface properties and user safety, finishing materials must have sufficient compressive strength, impact resistance, and walking safety. These are very, very important. Also, it has to be non-flammable and shouldn't emit toxic gases during fire, etc. We have to also take care that it has less VOC, the volatile organic compounds, so that the space and the environment is healthier and less hazardous to the health. So all those factors have to be kept in mind. These are some tips for selecting the materials and finishes. Of course, one has to begin by understanding what is the purpose for which the finishes are being created or implemented, and what's the functionality aspect. What is the environment, where these are to be installed, and also considering maintenance issues. So we have to consider those requirements. Of course, the cost factor, whether they are durable or not, the aesthetic aspect, color, texture, light reflectivity, sound absorption. Of course, I talked about the environmental impact and health and safety just a while ago. So all of that. Some surface treatments that we can, just try to understand briefly. So it's basically a mechanical process when we talk about surface treatment, in which the surface material is smoothened, with a sort of an additional coating that makes it smooth, water repellent, and sometimes other kinds of attributes that can be achieved. In some cases, the moisture resistant substance is also used to make the surface free from dampness. So we can consider all of these and then accordingly, have a surface treatment designed and implemented. Some of the reasons why surface treatment is very essential, of course, for the look purpose and to give a, aesthetic appeal. And then extra smooth surface after plaster that can be provided through surface treatment, protection against dampness, and it prohibits the growth of molds, algae, etc., and prevents the building damage due to excessive rainfall. So weathering conditions, to provide protection against all of these, a surface treatment could be very, very useful and essential. Now we can achieve this kind of a surface treatment by decorative paintings, which is a simple wall treatment. And from painting florals and foliage on a kitchen wall, or doing fun murals in a child's bedroom, or doing decorative painting in other spaces, it can also add personality and character to a space. And there could be wallpapers, which are quite popular, wall treatments which are used very, very widely. They could come in different themes, motifs, patterns, colors. We could also use wood for surface treatments, and it could give a very contemporary luxury interior. They could come in many shapes, sizes, textures in the form of panels. Of course, plaster is used for surface treatment. It's easy to shape and paint. It can provide different kinds of looks. It can break the monotony in a room, and of course, it does provide a lot of protection to the surface underneath, like we try to understand during the process of plastering. Tiles can be used for surface treatment. They are very popular choices, easy to clean and maintain, and they can be used there is an ease of using them and executing them. Exposed brick and stone, that could be another surface treatment where we are especially looking at rustic finishes. They do provide a timeless appeal and a character to your projects. Now, interior finishing materials and installation techniques, that's also to be understood, because application techniques, they come with experience and on-site experience, technical details, learning through them. So yeah, cement is the most used binding material, and cement based finishing materials, they are composed of mortar by mixing cement, aggregates and water. They can be continuous or in the form of tiles. The another one is terrazzo floor, and when we see the lecture on flooring, it's discussed over there. So cement tile is basically a layered tile. It is produced from cement, sand and oxidized paint. The upper layer is paint. The second layer below paint has a high cement factor, and the last one is like a regular cement mortar. And this layer is actually what gives it strength and proper finish. There are also earth based materials, and within that they could be porous, semi porous, and non porous, and it depends on the degrees or the temperature to which they are subjected. So their compression strength actually varies from low in the case of porous to quite high in the case of non-porous. So again, depending which area they are used for, and where they have to be applied, one can pick and choose. Terracotta tile is another earth-based material. It is used for several purposes, and it has become a very versatile space-making element now compared to its traditional use. And due to its high baking temperature, it has low porosity and impermeability, and it is used to increase the adhesion surface, and for that the grooves are opened under these tiles. There is also glass, and it's not just used for a visual connection like it was used very popularly in earlier days, but with the emerging technologies, it has started to be used in larger sizes, and it is formed by melting the ingredients together at high temperatures, shaping and annealing of the materials. So glass is again used quite popularly. Metal is preferred due to its structural strength and aesthetic appearance. It is used as wall and floor coating material, either in the form of panels or tiles, and it could also be used for a very, very customized and exquisite look. It can be used at ceilings as suspended ceiling material also. Another finish could be like polymers and plastics, and of course it's not entirely natural, but it's used in different formats. Natural stone, again we have been talking a lot about it. So textiles, these can also be used, like the carpets and rugs, for furniture, for curtains, like upholstery material, all of these could be used. So wool, cotton, linen, polymers such as nylon and purlon, these are used quite extensively in interior architecture projects. Then there are woods and wood composites that are used for these kinds of interior finishes. Wood can be used in structure as solid or composite, and the composites could be like your fiber board, particle board, lumber board, plywood. All of these are like byproducts of the timber industry, which are getting more and more used in interior architecture projects. So these were some of the popular finishes. There is a lot to talk about finishes, materials and specifications when it comes to interior design industry. Yeah, and even this entire course is not enough to cover it. But we are trying to take, you know, uh, consider some of the important aspects. So next lecture also focuses on finishes, materials and specifications, but specifically talking about crafts. So we will see that when we meet next time. Some references over here. Thank you.